Flat water. A clear sky. A ferry on a routine crossing to a holiday island. And then, no storm, no collision, nothing in her path. She rolled onto her side and never came back up. Everyone remembers the sharp turn that morning. But the turn is not what sank her. Long before she reached that channel, this ship was already lost. This is the Sewol. And what happened to her isn't really a mystery, it is physics you can follow in a few minutes. It comes down to one thing, whether a ship can still stand back up after she leans. Think of a ship as a pendulum. Lean her, and a healthy ship swings back upright. Three things keep that swing strong: weight kept low, water ballast in her belly, and cargo that stays put. The Sewol broke all three. Not at sea, at the dock, before she ever set out. Let us take them one at a time. She had been built in Japan in 1994, a roll-on, roll-off passenger ferry, running the overnight route from Incheon to Jeju under the South Korean flag. 146 meters long, 22 across. But the number that matters is this. When she was built, she measured just under 6,000 gross tons. By 2014, 6,825. Somebody had been adding to her. Hold that thought. Because to understand what those extra tons did, you first have to understand how any ship stays upright at all. Every ship is a pendulum. Push it, and it leans. Let go, and if she is healthy, she swings back and stands up again. The force that brings her back is called the righting moment. 2 points govern it. The center of gravity, where the ship's weight effectively sits. And the metacenter, a fixed point above it. The distance between them is called GM. The larger it is, the harder the ship fights to come upright. As she leans further, that fight is measured by a lever called the righting arm. On a healthy ship it grows as she heals, then holds. On a compromised ship it is short from the start, and it runs out early. Three things keep that lever long: a low center of gravity, enough ballast in the bottom, and cargo that stays where you put it. The Sewol broke all three. One at a time. When she was bought by her Korean operator, she was rebuilt to carry more fare-paying passengers. Cabins and a display hall were added across the third, fourth, and fifth decks, near the stern. That added around 239 tons, and later, some 37 tons of marble, high up in the ship. Her passenger capacity rose from 804 to 921. Weight added high does one thing above all: it lifts the center of gravity. Hers rose by around half a meter. And as the center of gravity climbs, the righting arm shrinks. The Classification Society saw the danger. It cut her permitted cargo almost in half, down to 987 tons, and ordered her to carry at least 1,703 tons of ballast to compensate. On paper, the ship was made safe again. A line had been drawn. Ballast water is not waste. It sits low in the hull, and it pulls the center of gravity back down, the cheapest way there is to keep the pendulum swinging home. But ballast takes up space that cargo could fill. And so, to load more, the crew pumped it out. Against a requirement of 1,700 tons, the Sewol sailed with under 600. And through the night, as she burned fuel and fresh water, the bottom of the ship grew lighter still. Everything that steadied her was being quietly removed. By morning, the righting arm, the lever that was meant to stand her back up, had almost nothing left to give. Then there was the cargo itself. Against that limit of 987 tons, she was loaded with more than 2,142, including 185 vehicles and heavy construction equipment. And much of it was not properly secured. On a ship that could still be trusted to stand upright, that is a risk. On this ship, it was the trigger, waiting to be pulled. The warning signs were already there. Dock workers had noticed that the ferry lurched and rolled heavily just from being loaded at the quay, a ship telling everyone who watched that something was wrong. And when one worker raised a concern about loading more, his warning was brushed aside, and he was told to leave no empty space. On the evening of the 15th of April, 2014, thick fog closed the port of Incheon. Other ferries stayed alongside. The Sewol was the only ship to sail. She ran through the night toward Jeju. By morning she was entering the Mengol Channel, off the island of Jindo, a narrow passage known for strong tidal currents. At 7:30, a third mate and a helmsman took the watch. At 8:27 the ship reached the channel, making around 18 knots. Position: 34 degrees, 13 north, 125 degrees, 57 east. Ahead of her, flat grey water. Nothing about the morning looked dangerous. At 8:48, an order was given to change course. And the ship made a sudden, hard turn to starboard. Whether the cause was the steering gear or the hand on the wheel remains disputed. What the turn did next is not. Any turn pushes a ship to lean outward. On a sound vessel, the righting arm absorbs it and holds. On the Sewol, there was almost no righting arm left. She heeled 20 degrees to port, and kept going. On the bridge, the helmsman was heard to say, in a flustered voice, that the wheel was not working. Then came a sound through the whole ship, a single heavy bang, as 185 vehicles broke their lashings at once and slid to the low side. Hundreds of tons, shifting in a heartbeat. Whatever chance of recovery remained, that ended it. At 8:50, the engines were stopped. From here, the ship simply leaned, slowly, steadily, and without ever coming back. As she went over, the sea found its way in, down through the side cargo doors, and the vehicle ramp at the stern. Once those openings went under, the flooding could not be stopped. By now the angle itself had become a trap. On a deck tilted past 50 degrees, simply moving through the ship was almost impossible. It is why the loss of a stricken ship and the loss of the people aboard are two different failures, and why evacuation and drills are studied as hard as stability. By mid-morning she lay on her side, most of the hull beneath the surface. Look back, and no single decision sank her. A raised center of gravity. Ballast pumped out. Twice the permitted cargo. None of it secured. Any one of them, a well-found ship might have survived. Stacked together, they left a vessel so close to the edge that a single hard turn was enough. The turn did not cause the disaster. It only revealed it. And behind the ship stood a system that let it happen, commercial pressure to overload, and oversight too weak to stop it. This was a company that reportedly spent about $2 a year on safety. The physics was never the mystery. The permission was. The Sewol was raised from the seabed in 2017. In the years that followed, South Korea overhauled how it regulates ferry safety and how it responds to disaster at sea. But the lessons the ship itself leaves are simple ones. Stability is not paperwork. Ballast is not deadweight. A cargo limit is a line drawn for a reason. And a hard turn does not create danger, it only uncovers the danger that was already there. 304 people did not come home. May they rest.